Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Purva and today I am uploading files to Amazon S3 bucket. First things first, you'll need to create an account in Amazon S3. Once you have an account, log into that, click on the top right corner and then go to security credentials to create the secure access keys for you. This will give you access key ID and secure access key. Once you have them, you are ready to make the proper configuration in your code. I'm assuming you already have the security credentials. Before starting this video, if you get into any trouble, let me know. I'll try to help you out. Now, before we even start writing the code, like I said, you should have the security credentials. Once you have them, go to Amazon S3, click on buckets, and then create a bucket for you. You will need to provide the name of this bucket while uploading the files. So once you're here in this page, you need to select the AWS region, give your bucket a name, decide the ownership for the objects. By default, it's ACLs disabled. Block all public access. Now this is up to you. I am assuming that you want to secure the files that you want to upload in AWS. So I'll be working through that. But if you're uploading something which is not private, you can disable this. Rest of it, I'm going to keep it intact. For a beginner, this seems to be a viable option. Finally, hit the create bucket button. That's it for the configuration. Now let's move on to the code. The architecture that I'm going to use, backend is written in nodejs, frontend is React.js. I have an expose function in backend, get presigned URL, that will fetch me the pre-signed URL from Amazon S3 with appropriate credentials. Now I'll send this pre-signed URL to frontend, which will use this URL to upload the file to S3. The new AWS SDK is migrated to version 3, wherein you do not need the entire package, rather the smaller libraries to make this work. If you will look at the official documentation, this will give you an option to generate the pre-signed URL with client, without client. I'm going to use with client. You will need to install AWS SDK Client S3 and AWS SDK S3 Request pre-signer. Once you have installed this, if you are using any package manager, you can use the command. Like for example, I'm using npm. So I use npm install AWS SDK Client S3, and same goes for S3 Request pre-signer. If you're using pnpm, you can use the command pnpm add. If you're using yarn, you can use yarn add. Now up to you. Once you have installed all the dependencies, what you need is this configuration. So get presigned URL is an exported function where I'm calling create presigned URL with client. And this is calling put object command. Now, one thing to notice over here that you have to return get signed URL, which is exposed from S3 request presigner. You can also provide validity time for this signed URL. By default, it's 5 minutes, maximum is 7 days. Once it is expired, frontend will need to refresh this URL and then retry the upload. I'm using environment variables for credentials and region and bucket, but remember these things you'll already have before writing this code. While creating the security credentials, you'll get access key ID and secret access key. For region and bucket, you will get this while creating the bucket. Now, one more thing to remember while creating the S3 client, you will need to pass the region along with the credentials configuration. After writing the expose function in the backend, let's move to the front end. And let me show you what do I have it here. This is nothing but just input type file and an upload button. So when I click on choose file, it will take me to the finder. I can choose a file and then hit the upload button. Let me remind you that this is not a production ready code. If you're using React, you will either go for React Dispatch or you will go for React Redux tools or something else for making it production ready. My agenda today is just to show you how to upload files securely in Amazon S3 bucket. So like I said, we have an input type file. Once the file is changed, I'm saving it in state. You can skip that also. I decided to use file names. That's why I'm trying to save it. And then rest of it is a form. Once you hit upload, because it's a type submit, this will call on submit function of my form. This will collect me the form data, and then I'm calling my function upload file. This is where we need to focus more for this video. So while I'm uploading file, first I'm getting the signed URL from my backend, and once I get the URL, I'm simply using Axios.put form for posting this data to S3 bucket. While fetching the URL, this is my local host. This is not deployed anywhere. If you have your backend deploying somewhere, replace it with that. Use the environment variables and make the production ready code. Refactor it accordingly. Just to show you, I'm using localhost. Upload is a function name. The parameter that I'm passing is file name for using it as a key while uploading or while creating the pre-signed URL. If it is successful, I'll get the URL in response. Once I have the URL, I'm calling axios.put form with the body. Body will be the data that you're collecting from the file. So it's basically nothing but just the form data that I'm collecting over here. Once I have body, you need to pass the headers, which is content length, file.size. That's it for the front end. Now let's go back to Amazon S3 and make one final configuration. Go to Amazon S3, buckets, and then click on the bucket that you just created. Go to the permissions and then look for course. Course is nothing but cross origin resource sharing policies. You have to adhere to that. The most important parameter here is allowed origins, where you need to pass on the origin of your application. The simplest thing for testing would be to replace it with a star, and this will work for you. However, to be more safer, to secure your files, use the appropriate origins. I'm using localhost, but use the deployed URL in your production ready code. It is an array, so you can pass a list of allowed origins. After making these configurational changes, you should be able to successfully upload a simple secure file to Amazon S3 buckets. Let me know if that works out for you. That's it for the current video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.